Hello. Hello, everybody. I wanted to make this video. Can't lie, I'm pretty inspired by the vid that Ms. Terry Strange put up recently saying why she's no longer a feminist. And I made this whole cool outline, but I fucking forgot to write anything about the word feminist, but it's okay. Um, so I always found the idea of being a part of something and grouping up together with other people who want to accomplish a common goal very appealing. I always found that very appealing. I was like, oh, cool. I want to do that. I want to be in that, I want to be a part of that. Um, so that whole, just concept was very appealing to me. And I guess where my kind of levels of expectations from that were coming from was like fictional depictions, on TV and movies. But not all of it's fictional depictions, some of it was actual historical events that did in fact happen. However, my expectations really did not meet the reality of all those situations. And that's okay, but we learn from this. So before I was a radical feminist, I went to college, and at the college there was like a student union, and I was like, oh, it seemed really like activist, right? So I was like, oh, cool. So I went to some meetings and I met up with some people there, and went to a few events or whatever. But it became really apparent to me extremely quickly that a lot of these people were just like in there to be in there. They were in there because their friends were in there, and they would claim to really care about the earth and stuff, but they ate veggie patties, were vegetarian, and smoked cigarettes. So I was like, what? Um, and they didn't really accomplish a lot, at least from what I observed. That's not entirely true. They did accomplish some things. They were able to protest some things and um, get something out of it. I don't even remember what it was. I wasn't really present for that. But I'm also going to say this, okay? This is not something people want to acknowledge, but it's a fact. A lot of activist circles like that will, in fact, draw in people who are extremely unstable. Okay, and I had a friend who I actually brought her into that group. Like, she was interested in like activism. And I put that in quotes because I don't think a lot of what people perceive to be activism is actual activism. Such a loaded fucking concept, but she seemed to suddenly care about a lot of things that she didn't care about before. And I was like, okay, well, hey, like, you should come to this group. And she went to the group, and then she was just totally sucked into the group. And I thought this person was like going to be a friend of mine for life, but obviously she later dumped me for being a TERF, but I digress. I'm just saying that didn't work out. And I also, before anything, I really noticed there was a shit ton of misogyny in this activist group, and I was, innocently yet over opportunistically hoping that these people would know the difference between women and girls. But like, as soon as I got there, I heard all these, like, so everyone in that group who was female was a woman. I'm sure there were tiffs there, but I don't fucking care. I'm just saying, when people meant to refer to women, they would often say girls, and I had to be like, you're talking about women. You mean to say women. You don't mean to say girls, but it's just like, and the fact that was like common practice to just blanket statement refer to women as girls was a red flag. And these were people who were woke all the way back in the day. But anyway, I quit that shit because it was not positive. It's actually really not positive for your health to be around third-hand smoke. Third-hand smoke is a thing. First-hand smoke is smoking cigarettes. Second-hand smoke is standing right there while someone is smoking a cigarette. That's a thing. Third-hand smoke is when someone has just smoked, maybe outside, and they come in and they have fumes on their hair and on their clothing. It's third-hand smoke. So it's really not good for you to be around third-hand smoke, especially if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, like me. But anyway, quit that. Didn't really want to have anything to do with it. It wasn't important to me anymore because it just wasn't. It just wasn't my cup of tea, and it never was going to be. But, I still longed for community. I still longed to have people who shared some of my same beliefs, and I ended up finding radical feminism. I found it through a friend of mine, also from college. I don't really feel like getting too into that, but I know I've said this before and I'm fucking sorry. I feel like I keep saying the same shit over and over again in my videos. She asked me really basic questions and I was like, wow, I'm a radical feminist now, because it was true. Anyway, I was like, okay, cool. I want to be a radical feminist now. It was like a slow progression though, because I kept my mouth shut for 2 years after I decided I wanted to be a radical feminist. And then when I finally did say something, just all hell broke loose. But anyway, so I entered radical feminism, and I did actually end up meeting a few cool people that way, so that was very awesome. However, I also noticed pretty soon that a lot of the habits, behaviors that were in the student group were also in the radical feminist circles that I entered. I went to a wolf gathering, and I know that this is controversial or whatever, but I was pissed off that they even served vegan food. Why the fuck are you serving vegan food to these eating disordered women and honoring their eating disorder? I just can't handle that shit. So that rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, okay, but I also really wanted to do a talk about how to induce miscarriage. And I approached someone working there about that before the event happened. And she was like, yeah, you can't do that. That sounds too similar to this other woman who was giving a talk about how to actually perform abortions. And I was like, okay, well, if it is in fact pretty much the same subject matter and there's a ton of overlap, then I see why she would say no to me. Okay. But I went to that talk, and performing abortions is actually entirely different than inducing miscarriage. Okay? And there was no overlap. And I'm sure I wasn't allowed to give this talk because I didn't have the proper credentials. So that pissed me off a lot. And Wolf ended up being just solely a socializing event where you could just hang out and camp and socialize with women who had, 3 of your same basic beliefs, which are indisputably just reality. So I've been to summer camp. Okay. I went to summer camp. Thanks be to God. I was really, truly so incredibly lucky to have gone to summer camp. And that's one of the most defining, important aspects of my childhood. Okay. I had been around hundreds of girls. Okay. I had been around hundreds of girls jumping in a room, making the floor shake. Okay. I had already experienced that in my youth, and I actually didn't need to repeat it as an adult. Wolf was not half as cool as my summer camp, but beside the point. I'm just saying, okay, but also about Wolf. I really thought that there were going to be like workshops of like how to get people to listen to you, like how to you know, generate thoughtful conversations about your beliefs that are important, like how, like where you need to go, like talk to your legislators about these laws being made. Zero. Nothing. There was nothing like that. There was no like actual advising of how to, get people to see where you're coming from. There was no actual advising on like how to actually get changes made within your communities. It was literally just like a socializing appointment. And I don't have time for that. I do socialize. I socialize a lot. I have friends, and we hang out and we go out or whatever, but like I don't need to do that under the guise of wolf. Just putting that out there. So I kind of want to know what activism even is. Like, what is it? Is it making an Instagram post? Is that activism? Like, literally one Instagram post, is that activism? Is like changing your status to something specific activism? Is putting flyers up for something in your neighborhood activism? I don't know, but like, just because I feel like radical feminism really like, and this is just my perception, this isn't necessarily everyone's experience, it kind of gave this message of like, just by being a radical feminist, you're an activist. And that's absolutely not true. So even after I had these, experiences with radical feminism, and I'm putting that in quotes because I don't think it's radical. It's not, in fact, radical to assert the fact that biological sex is real and unchanging. Now, that might upset some namby-pamby liberals, but it's true. Like, that's not radical. It is radical to advocate for 0 women to be vegan, which I do, but I'm only one person, and I can't force anyone to not be vegan. I'd like to, I'd like to, but I can't. So I was kind of done with Wolf, but I was still like in the radical feminist like mindset, if you will. And I was just noticing that the numbers are just not there. Like, I mean, the number of women who would show up for a protest, who would show up for a demonstration, were just not there. I went to the women's march, the Wimixons march, and I took videos of it. I had one friend with me who was kind enough to, maybe I had 2 friends with me, but so there were 4 of us. I had one friend with me who was kind enough to stand around my signs with me and talk to people with me. But to be fair, very few women actually approached us to talk because they don't want to have dialogue going. They'd rather just hold up their signs in silence. But I'm just saying the numbers are not there. When there's like a call to action for radical feminists, no one shows up. And women are all fucking ways being like, oh, I might lose my job, or like just stupid shit that no one cares about. And like, I guess I've been doing these things for a long time, right? So I know how these things, or I've experienced these things for a long time. So I know how these people work, okay? So say you're a woman and you want to go to some event and you go there, but you're afraid that someone might recognize you from your work. First of all, is there going to be anyone from your work there? Second of all, even if there is, are they going to approach you? Third of all, even if someone gets your picture, your actual picture at this event, and puts it on Facebook, puts it on Instagram, how the fuck would your boss be like, oh, look, there's Sherry at that event. Wow. Oh, she's holding a sign too. Why would your boss be like, my worker, my employee, Sherry, this weekend on Instagram at that protest thing? Like, the fact that so many women are so terrified to show up publicly for their beliefs makes anything that women try to actually do kind of useless and null, because nothing ever gets done. Okay? Kelly J. King Minchell came here and canceled at the last minute because she was giving in to the male domination tactics that males often try to pull. And that's exactly what you don't want to do in order to be heard. You know, how many dumb shits are going to be like, I'm going to show up to your event with a bomb. I'm going to show up to your event with a gun. And they don't show up. They're not going to show up. Like, anyway, okay, I digress. I'm just saying, like, and in light of her not showing up, some women did actually do a demonstration, and good for them. You know, I give props to women who try. It's good to try. It's good to try to do public demonstrations. It's good to try to put protests. It's good to try to publicly say your beliefs. I'm for that. But, like, very little gets done when it's less than 10 people. Very little gets done when so few people are willing to actually physically show up. And that's, like, before that point, though, I was like, okay, like, before that Kelly J. Keen Mitchell thing happened, I was like, okay, I don't really think this is working for me anymore. You know, I mean, y'all can call me a radical feminist if you so desire, but I don't really think I am that anymore. I don't really think I ever even was that. You know, I called myself that. I ascribed to those beliefs, but I feel like it kind of just means little to nothing, and I'm not sorry about that. But so, yeah, when the numbers aren't there, nothing's gonna get done. Also, before that all happened, I was going to this group that was basically just like a support group for radical women. And again, nothing would be getting done. And like, I just got so much backlash from so many different women, obviously about the bigorexia. I got a lot of backlash from women by saying I'm against veganism and saying that veganism is wrong. I got a lot of backlash from women for saying that makeup is bad for us, for calling it slave paint. And feel free to be mad at me. Feel free to not be okay with me calling it that. But like, I am allowed to say whatever the fuck I want, and you don't have to agree with me. Something that would always happen without fail, and this still annoys me when I think about it, is when I used to have Instagram, I did occasionally post like fertility awareness stuff. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to make a video about fertility awareness, and there would all fucking ways be a lesbian who I knew personally, okay? And it was more than one, though. There would always be a lesbian who would show up in the comments and be like, or you could just not have sex with men. Do you think that because you're lesbian, that's just gonna like cancel out the fact that most women on the planet are straight and deserve to know about fertility awareness method? That shit pissed me off. Or you could just not have sex with men. Yeah, of course you could. But are most women not gonna do that? No. Yeah, so very few things were getting done. Nothing was getting done. I noticed that. Didn't take long for me to notice that. also, like, I still feel like so few women are even showing up. Like, I'm really, truly embarrassed for the movement. I'm really, truly embarrassed for these poor women who, like, are getting their sports scholarships or whatever, their sports championships taken away from them because there are men competing in the women's category, and so few people do anything, so few athletic women do anything. Like, it's just, and I know that's because they want to be nice and they don't want to lose their sponsors, but fam, I would lose my sponsor 10 times over if I had to compete with a man and I made us think about it. Like, thanks. I just feel like women are not actually willing to do enough for ourselves. And I asked the question, and I'm seriously asking this, I really do mean it. Do women want to be liberated from men? I do. I want to be liberated from men. But the fact that, like, so many women go by Mrs. in this day and age is, and also hyphenate their last names like an idiot. You're fucking stupid if you do that. I don't give a shit. It's not feminist. It's not good for women to hyphenate your last name. Henderson, Allen. Can you imagine fucking spelling that out, especially for someone who maybe English isn't their first language? Spelling out Henderson dash Allen. Take 15 goddamn minutes to spell your fucking surname. Like, just be efficient. It's not fucking efficient to hyphenate your last name, and it's not fucking efficient to go by Mrs. either. And how many women change their last names to their husbands? Like, I don't think women want to be liberated from men. I don't think a lot of women want better treatment. I don't think a lot of women even barely even want to advocate for better treatment of themselves in their own home lives. Okay, and that's why I don't consider myself a radical feminist. And I have some radical beliefs, which I'm free to say and I'm free to state at any point. And also, like, me making a video about something isn't me actually, like, harming anyone or causing or preventing anyone from doing anything. It's merely me stating my opinion. Apparently, like I said, a lot of women can't handle that. So I don't have time for a movement or a belief system that does jack shit for women. It does jack shit for me. Radical feminism did do some good things for me. I met Terry, who's the coolest person. One of the coolest people I know. I did meet a few other gals who ended up being pretty cool, and that was good. I like being hated. Like, when, what's her name, that trans girl, that Tiff, and what's his name, Blair, they made that video making fun of me. I was pretty proud, honestly. Because if morons like that are making fun of me, shit, I'm doing things right, right? I'm just saying, there are a few things good that came out of this, that came out of radical feminism. But, oh my gosh, Pirate just grabbed my arm. But there are plenty of things that, weren't good, and most like, the biggest problem I have with it is just the lack of participation, the lack of passion, the lack of action. Like, why? So you having these beliefs and talking about it on the internet is somehow helping women. Like, because that's all they would do. That's the extent of their activism, is that they would talk about it on the internet. I can't say that's all these women did. Obviously, I don't know everything about their lives. Maybe some women really were fighting at their kids' school not to get certain things taught to kids. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just saying, like, there was no visible action to me that made me want to stay, right? I guess I can say that I'm glad that in some of my videos I could be somewhat of an example to women. I met some Korean gals on a video chat when Ara was here from Korea. That was probably the coolest thing that came out of me being a quote unquote radical feminist, is meeting these Korean gals who came from Korea to meet me and Terry. Like, that was really cool. Anyway, I did an interview with some other gals who were still in Korea over a video, and one of them said to me, she was like, "I really like it when you get really mad in your videos," and I was like, "Thank you." Like, that was super cool to hear, um, because you should get mad about things that matter, and you should tell people what they're saying is crazy if what they're saying is in fact crazy. And if that makes you appear mad or uncool, who cares, because you're defending the truth. I think that's all I want to say. I guess I can say one more thing, and that's that if you had told little me that I would one day be just an angry feminist on the internet being mad about shit, I would be like, I'm sorry, what? I just can't recommend healing your inner child enough. Because more than anything, I'm just here to entertain you. Right, Pirate? Pirate, no. He's here to entertain you too. You may have noticed that my videos are really shifting in content. And I do actually still have a lot of the beliefs that I expressed in my videos. Okay? But I'm just saying, like, I don't, in fact, consider myself a radical feminist. And I don't really think it's in other women's best interests to do so either. Bye bye. Bye bye.